efforts are aimed at part, and the president talks about bringing manufacturing jobs to America. The White House talked about iPhones being made here in America. Some economists have said that it would cost thousands of extra dollars to buy an iPhone. Is that realistic?
I don't know the answer to that. But what I do know is the immediate harm is going to be very significant. And it is going to, I was just in Target the other day buying something, and I looked around there. Virtually all of those products sold in stores like Target are going to see significant increases in prices if Trump gets his way with tariffs. That's going to hurt working people a whole lot.
This is Marge Watchorn, a manager at the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. She's worked with the federal government for 30 years. Thank you for your service.
Thanks.
Marge is a Democrat from Ellicott City, Maryland. Marge?
Senator, what would you say to federal employees who are concerned about the careless workforce cuts being effectuated by Elon Musk and DOGE?
I want to say two things about that. First of all, thank you and your colleagues for your years of service. The vast majority of federal employees are trying their best to do the jobs that have to be done to protect the American people, and I thank you all very much for that. The idea that Mr. Musk goes around and with a chainsaw, I mean, that is his metaphor, a chainsaw, slashing jobs all over the place, telling people based on nothing that they have poor performance records, throwing them out into the street is outrageous. But I want to say something else above and beyond. And by the way, I was just on the floor a few hours ago. They have decided in their brilliance, and I suspect this is a Musk initiative, to lay off, they have a proposal to lay off 83,000 workers at the Veterans Administration. Got that? So we made a commitment to the men and women who put their lives on the line that we were going to provide them with the best quality health care that we could. And generally speaking, I know in my state, veterans are very proud of the health care they get in White River Junction, Vermont, and that's true in many places in this country. But arbitrarily throwing 83,000 workers in the Veterans Administration, lowering the quality of care for our veterans, delaying the kind of the time in which they're going to get their benefits is a total outrage. I want to add one point to that. I want everybody to think about this. Most people, we have millions of federal employees, most people are not federal employees. And I think many people are saying, wow, that's outrageous. I really feel for these federal employees thrown out on the street. But I want you to think about this. If Musk can do this to federal employees, some of whom are in unions, some of whom will work for years, what do you think he's going to be doing when artificial intelligence and robotics comes for your job? Guess what? The job you have today ain't going to be here in 10 or 15 years. And you think Musk and his friends are saying, oh my goodness, how do we protect American workers from the explosion in technology that we're seeing? They don't give a damn about you. If this is what they could do to federal employees, think about what they could do to people in the private sector. So bottom line there is I am not a Luddite. I think technology has many positive things to say. But we have got to understand that new technology, AI, robotics, has got to work for working people, not just for the billionaires and Mr. Musk.
There's a lot of talk about, from the DOGE team about, or from Elon Musk, about waste, fraud, and abuse and what they're finding. Have you seen much evidence of waste, fraud, and abuse? Because what they put on their wall of receipts, some of the top items, the biggest savings they allege to have implemented, turned out to be mistakes or just lies.
Look, am I going to sit here and tell anybody in America that the United States government doesn't have a bureaucracy and there isn't waste? Of course there is. And do we all, you're Republican, conservative, progressive, I was mayor of the city of Berlin. One of the things I'm proudest is we saved money. We made the city more efficient. People pay taxes. They want to make sure their money goes to where it's supposed to go. We can do better than we're doing right now.
Is there a contribution Elon Musk could make to the federal government that you would be?
I think his name, I don't think he can do it. But do I think as a nation, as a Congress, as an administration, we got to sit down and say, how do we break through the bureaucracy and make the government more efficient? Yes. But I want to give you one example. And this worries me a whole lot. Trump gets up in his State of the Union, and many of you have heard it. And he says, oh my goodness, millions and millions of senior citizens, 150 years age, 200 years of age. Remember that? Oh, they're all getting Social Security benefits. It's a lie. A total, absolute lie. I mean, according to the new guy who is going to become the Social Security Administrator, Trump's own appointee, well over 99% of the benefits owed to people on Social Security were earned by the people on Social Security. It's just another lie. So a lot of what they're doing is, am I going to tell you the Veterans Administration is the most efficient organization in the world? No, it's not. But you don't simply, with a chainsaw, if you like, get rid of 83,000 people, then say, oh, it's not going to impact the quality of care that our veterans receive.
The president's keeping a 10% tariff on most countries, 25% on some goods from Canada and Mexico, 125% now on China. Has all of this chaos permanently damaged our economy, our reputation in the world?
Look, I live in Burlington, Vermont. You should all come up and visit us sometimes. We're a great city, a great state. I live 50 miles away from the Canadian border. Throughout the history of the United States and Canada, we have had a very warm, positive relationship. They are our neighbors. They are our friends. And right now, I got to tell you that in Canada, when you have a president of the United States who goes out of his way to insult the prime minister, he calls him governor. Oh, by the way, you're a Canadian. We're going to make you the 51st state. Canadians, who I love, they're great people. They're not coming into Vermont anymore. They're not coming into America. They're boycotting American goods. Similar to our friends in Mexico and all over the world. These are our allies. We fought World War II. We defeated Nazism, fighting with our friends in UK and France throughout Europe. And now they're saying, what in God's name is going on with the United States of America? So the idea that this nation, which all of us want to see as a, what did Ronald Reagan call it, the city on the mountain?
Shining city on a hill.
City on a hill, close, all right. I don't quote Reagan all that often. But, you know, we want to be a model to the world. We want people to look at us and say, we want to be like the United States. Not, oh God, United States, what are they doing? So.
Let's get to our first questioner. This is Nate Gilsaw, Legal Administrative Specialist at the Department of Justice from Burke, Virginia. He's a Republican. Nate, welcome.
Thank you. Senator Sanders, you have consistently opposed trade agreements like NAFTA and the Trans-Pacific Partnership, citing their detrimental effects on American workers. Recently, President Trump imposed broad reciprocal tariffs on numerous countries, leading to significant market disruptions and international backlash. How do you assess the effectiveness of such tariff strategies in protecting American jobs, and what alternative measures would you advocate to ensure fair trade without escalating global trade tensions?
Thanks a lot, Nate. And Nate is quite right. Not only did I vote against a Clinton-inspired NAFTA and PNTR with China, I helped lead the effort against it. And I think you know why. What I saw and wanted to prevent was the decimation of communities all over this country where working people had decent jobs, often with unions, in a factory. And what these trade agreements in essence said to corporate America, hey, no problem, you can throw American workers out on the street, you can go to Mexico, you can go to China and hire people for pennies an hour. And I thought that that was a horrible idea. It was a horrible idea. It resulted in the loss of thousands and thousands of factories in America, the loss of millions of jobs. So to answer Nate's question, look, what I think is tariffs used selectively are a good idea if they're going to protect American jobs. But to arbitrarily, out of nowhere, come up with a tariff that they can't even justify or explain to virtually every country on earth is absolutely counterproductive.